You are listening to Pivot Parenting, episode 223. I'm not the mom she needs. Welcome to Pivot Parenting, the place where we recognize when your parental role needs to shift and how to do it. I'm your host and parenting expert, Heather Frazier. Hey, how's your day going? I'm so happy to be joining you in whatever you're doing. I hope that all is well and you're here to learn, which you for sure are. Today you're going to meet Kat. Kat is a fantastic mother whose child is 13. And as we all know, this is a hard age. And her daughter is not wanting to be as big as she is and wanting to stay a little girl, which is totally understandable. And Kat is trying to manage her daughter through her parenting, and she's really frustrated because her daughter is unhappy and she's doing her best and walking on eggshells and taking the brunt of things. Does this sound relatable at all? I know that I've been in her shoes, and I think most of us have. And the solution is not what you might originally or at first glance think. Oftentimes parents, we say, well, have you tried this? Or have you done this? Or have you said this? And she comes onto the call wanting that magic phrase. She even asks for words. Like, what do I say? How do I do this to get what I want? Which is her daughter to be happy. And that sounds so lovely. We want our kids to be happy because it feels so good, because we love them. But this is a huge hindrance in real happiness. It's actually in my 9-step process that I talk about in How I Fixed My Teen. This is step number 5, which is untangling yourself from your kid. And I just have to say, I got a message about my book last night, How I Fixed My Teen. And this reader says, there are events/people that cross our paths and change us. Your book is beautiful, inspiring, and yes, life-changing. Thank you. I love your family. Can I just say I love messages like this? Like, seriously, I don't know if you can hear it. My kids can tell when I get teary. I'm teary because of the difference that this labor of love, which it totally was such a labor of love to write this book. If you haven't read it, please, I'll send you a signed copy. Just go to my website. It's $13, $12.99 out the door. I'm paying tax and shipping. I'll send it to you right now. It's on sale on Audible. If you want it for $10, I'll read it to you on Audible. If neither of those are options for you, we've got Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart.com. You can get it pretty much any book place. It's doing so well. It is impacting so many families. I strongly encourage you to go grab it. I'm going to try and get library editions and get them in libraries as well, and Libby and all of those things. That's in the works. In the meantime, check it out. It really, today, this mom is struggling with step number 5. And my 9-step process really is foolproof that I talk about in the book. With all of my clients, with my own brain, with the people in my life, these are the 9 things that we need to do to create the family that we want. And the best news is that your teenager doesn't even need to know. Your spouse doesn't have to be on board or even present. You could not have a spouse and you can still make these changes. This is a foolproof, fits everybody's situation 9-step strategy. And I am so blessed to be able to share it with you. So without further ado, let's listen to how step 5 is playing into Kat's parenting and what to do about it. Hi, Kat. How are you today?
Hi, I'm well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited that you're here. How can I be helpful to you?
Um, so I think if I remember what I initially had kind of expressed as something I was struggling with trying to work out with between my daughter and I. So
Uh-huh.
she is just newly 13. She's an only child. And So she and I, throughout her growing up, um, we have really enjoyed physical play. You know, when she was young, I would put her on my feet and hold her hands and put her in the air. And, she loved tickle torture time. And there were all kinds of things like that we did together. And so that's been something that we've done over time. And it's only changed in so much as her size and weight. I couldn't put her on my body anymore, but
Sure.
she really really liked that. And she has had a hard time with I guess wrapping her head around the fact that she's too big to do some of those things anymore. So I know she's got some grief around that. And probably feels like we didn't have enough time, in being able to play. Her dad did not grow up with family that was in a lot of physical contact with each other. It was a very dysfunctional situation, so he never learned how to play. And so I was that person for her.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward now, she is a very affectionate person. She really likes people up close, um, and like in your face, and also frenetic energy. And she likes to have that frenetic energy close into people. She doesn't mind bumping into people and all that kind of thing. So, but for me, the way that I'm wired, and we are both highly sensitive people, I should say. Um, but she seems to be the one that's much more close in bubble, very touchy, but also can get kind of really frenetic energy when close to someone. And I'm one of those people that like to kind of keep people calm if they're close. And if they're not, I want to distance and keep a safe buffer for me because it's too much for my neurology, I guess. It just
Okay.
makes me anxious. So, the challenge has been I can't really do a lot of gymnasticsy things with her anymore. She's upset about her size and losing that. And tickle torture is okay. And but that frenetic energy that she gets wound up and excited and close to me, and then that's when I say it's too much. And and then when I do that, then she is hurt, and that hurt expresses itself as a withdrawing and anger.
Okay. Where in all of this story, what's most painful for you?
Um, I think the most problematic part for me is how do I get my how do I stay comfortable and how do I stay safe and still give her what she needs? Do I need to find some different words, or to help her understand where I'm coming from? Because she definitely has a problem with not knowing her own strength, um, and not necessarily knowing how something she does affects how someone else is feeling physically or otherwise.
Yeah. Can you paint me a specific situation? Like,
Sure.
when has this happened? Can we just hone in on one?
So I would say a few weeks ago, I had gone in to just cuddle with her. I think it was probably a Saturday morning. So we were relaxed. There was nothing to go rush off to do, and she started talking about missing, playing, and could I put her on my feet and try to lift her up. And so we did a little bit of that, and it got a little scary. And then she was frustrated yet excited and wanted to do more. So we started doing tickle torture. And then she started getting pretty rough. And I said, that hurts. Can you not squeeze me that hard? That's not comfortable. And as soon as I give a boundary, she gets upset to the point of mad and then shuts down.
Okay. It describe for me what shuts down looks like. What does
Sure.
she do?
So she'll get a really wrinkled up face and she'll be really mad. She'll hold her breath and
And is
she'll
this what
probably,
she did the other night when you did tickle torture?
yeah, yes, yeah.
So she held her breath. And what else?
Hold her breath. And then she would turn away from me and try to cover her face or her head or her whole body. And then, it's kind of like a wall goes up and I can't connect with her. She doesn't want to connect anymore. She doesn't want to look at me. She
So
doesn't want
what
to.
happened next then? Describe for me what you were doing and what she was doing.
Yeah. So I would say, hey, this is just me being me. It hurts and I'm not comfortable when you got all that wound up energy and then you come right into my face, right, really, really close. And it scares me. My body thinks I'm about to get hit and I get scared. And so I just, I need a little bit of body bubble and not getting right into my face. Um, it's not that I don't want to play with you. I have a different feeling of what's comfortable for me.
Okay, and what happened next?
And what happened next is she just is in her frozen state. And so she won't respond. She doesn't respond. And then I end up trying to snuggle with her and take the sheet off of her face and give her a kiss on the cheek. And um but the play is at that point over. There's no more interest in the connection and so from her viewpoint there's a rupture and it's my fault. Um so I'm the one who ends up apologizing
Yeah.
and trying to explain more, which doesn't seem to work. And
When you're thinking, oh, there's the wall that's gone up, she's shutting down, she's upset.
mhm.
How does that feel to you? What emotion does that create for you?
Oof. Um, I'm not the mom that she needs me to be for her.
Which makes you feel what one word emotion?
Um, Shame or disappointment. There's a lot of them.
That's great awareness. Um, okay, so you're trying to uncover her face, you're trying to snuggle with her, kiss her on the cheek. What else are you trying to do? in this situation?
Um, so what I have come to understand that my husband and daughter both kind of tried to explain to me is, their process of feeling and reaction is very different from mine.
Sure.
And so what I have realized in the next moment is maybe I just need to stop talking
So you
because in
stop
a lot,
talking.
yeah, just stop talking because in a lot of instances, I seem to make it worse. Like it upsets her more, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so then I will just stay in contact with her,
Mhm.
hugging her, cuddling or whatever, and just be silent.
Okay. And what's going on in your headspace? The other night when you were tickle torturing and then you said, "Hey, that hurts." You're sitting there, you're not saying anything. But what's going on in your head?
What's going on in my head is
Mm.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And this reminds me of my brother. And she's like my brother. And my brother has, so my dad has borderline personality disorder. And my brother is basically a carbon copy of him. I don't have contact with my brother anymore. It's a very, very, very difficult, very dysfunctional situation. So where my head goes is she reminds me of my brother, and I don't know what to do with this. And and that obviously instills a bunch of fear about um, why do I have to have this anxiety when someone is so frenetic and in my face? Why can't I just be comfortable with her being so wild and frenetic in my face? Why is this an issue for me?
Yeah, why is it an issue for you?
Um, I don't really know for sure. I guess one of the things I think about is the story my mom told me about when I was an infant and how I was always pushing away from her. Like she wanted to hold me really tight up close to
Sure.
her chest.
We've all had those babies.
And then she explained to me that it hurt her feelings because she thought I just didn't want to be close to her. But she said I would push away because I
Yeah.
wanted some space. And that the only time she could ever hold me really, really close to her bosom was when I was exhausted. So that's what it just makes me think that that's just part of my neurology.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I don't ask that question to like suggest that you should alter yourself to please
No,
her,
yeah.
but rather to point out to you that part of you is thinking that. Part of you's like, is something wrong with me? Should I just change so that my daughter is never unhappy?
Uh-huh.
Should we change so that our kids are never unhappy?
I mean, no, because then they end up a narcissist or something, which is, you know, another
Yeah,
concern that I have based on hereditary
sure.
influences.
And what you're describing here too is it sounds like you've tried really hard to keep her happy by
Um,
altering your behavior. By if you have a boundary, then you go apologize so that she's not upset. Yes.
yeah, but I can honestly say that I mean, in all fairness, there have been plenty of instances where at some point, I kind of snap and I get angry to the
Sure.
point of, I don't know what to do. And I, say I need to go. I remove myself from the situation to give her some space, to give me some space. And so it hasn't been the only time or the only way that I've responded. Sometimes I've responded with, you know,
Impatience.
upset. and
Yeah.
impatience.
Okay, let me ask you this. I want you to finish the rest of this sentence. I don't know what to do to what? What do you not know what to do to get?
Yeah, I don't know what to do to give my boundaries to her and for her to not have a rupture like reaction.
Okay. So there's your problem. You're trying to get a result from her.
Yeah.
And you're searching for the right thing to say, the right parent to be, because it's not okay that she's rupturing in your head. But guess what? It actually is fine. She can rupture and be upset. She can feel dejected. She can feel sad that she's bigger. She's 13 now. She's not 5,
Yeah.
right? That's okay. She can be sad. That really isn't a problem. But when you buy into it that it's a problem, then
Mhm.
you feel shame and disappointment. And because this wall has gone up, she's frozen. You're like, crap, I've upset her. And you even question, I'm not the mom she needs, because your brain is buying into this lie that if you were the right mom, then you could put up a boundary and she'd be like, oh, that's a great idea. Thank you for explaining it. I see your point clearly.
Mm.
And when you,
So,
sorry, go ahead.
so my expectations of this being like a smooth sailing interaction is not necessarily the reality.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah,
And it's causing you the shame and disappointment because that is based off, like, those are introspective emotions, right? Like, I'm ashamed of myself for not being the right mom. I'm disappointed that she's upset, that I've upset her, that I can't fix this situation, that I don't know the right thing,
mhm,
which causes you to spiral. You try to fix it. You try to so then you apologize even though you didn't do anything wrong, saying, "Hey babe, that's a little too much. That hurts." What kind of parent doesn't teach their kid that they have to, like, stop when somebody says that hurts? You're being a good parent by saying, I'm uncomfortable with this. Because if we don't teach our kids these things, that's a much harder lesson to learn from people that do not love them as much later on in life.
right.
Right. So you're being a good parent by saying, this is how I'm feeling. Please stop.
Mhm.
Um, but you're thinking you're doing something wrong. You're comparing her to your brother. You're wondering why you have to do this. Like, it's just this little nasty spiral of shame,
Yeah.
which reaffirms your belief that I'm not the mom she needs. I'm not, like, that there's something wrong with you.
Or there's something wrong with her.
Yeah. But honestly, you're both just trying to figure it out. Nothing has gone wrong here. It's just parenting and growing up, and they don't feel good sometimes.
Mm. Yeah. There's another layer to that as well, which is why am I the only parent who is takes this role to have to provide the boundaries? Because I am the only parent who takes the role. I'm the, you know, you need to go to bed person.
Mhm.
I'm the heavy, right? And that's been a huge thing in our family dynamic that my husband's been very slow to understand and try and, you know, I've been basically raising 2 children, one who's an adult. Um, and so it gets hard when I'm the rule maker and he's the permissive parent.
So be permissive. Be the more permissive one. Let him be like, you could shift your role. Why don't you do that?
Well, hmm. Well, what I would end up having to do is manage him and say, hey, will you go tell her blah, blah, blah.
No, no. Just sit in your bed and watch your Netflix on your phone. Be like, me and my ice cream are going to be in bed. Peace out. Why don't you do that? That sounds amazing.
Hmm. Well, I just went on a silent retreat this past weekend and they did perfectly fine together.
Yeah.
She actually did all of her jobs. Actually, she didn't do all of her jobs, but she did all the jobs she thought about. And she wanted me to know how great of a job. Because I said, you really need to help Baba when I'm out of town.
Yeah.
And so she was like, I did this and I did this and I did this and I did this. And nobody had to tell me. And I was like, wow, well, maybe you guys don't need me here at all.
Yeah. What if you've painted yourself into a corner of your own doing? Or what if you want to say, go to bed? Do you see how you're making yourself a victim by at their hands? Like I have, or a martyr, like I have to do these things. What if you don't? What if everything's back on the table and you can say, I'm going to try some new things? I don't like feeling like the taskmaster or the bad cop or however you want to paint it.
Mhm.
What if it's just all on the table? Part of you, I'm guessing, wants to make sure that the house runs smoothly and that everything is taken care of.
Correct.
Okay. So let's not blame other people for that because that's not the most helpful position. And what if some of those roles you don't even need to take because people shift and change and grow?
Well, I do wait to see if it happens without my prompting.
Sure.
And then when my daughter's still awake at 10:45 p.m. and she has to get up at 6, and then she's crabby and, goes down these horrible emotional explosions, like, highly sensitive people.
Yeah.
There's a very thin road to tread. And if you're too hungry and if you're too tired, there's just a lot of fallout that can happen. So, yes, I'm trying to manage fallout and fires. Yeah.
Yeah. I get that. I have a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
I totally get that. Um, but you're doing kind of the same thing in this situation that you're doing with the tickle torture response,
Mm-hmm.
which is there's not a problem with either situation, but when you think that there's a problem, there becomes a problem. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, it does. Because it's all about, I mean, we're all completely aware of the energies that people are, you know, cooking in,
Sure.
cooking themselves in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And my daughter's having the same problem at school. She's mixed race, so she's half Asian and half white. And she has come to believe, because she looks Hispanic, she doesn't look one or the other, she looks Hispanic, that since a very young age, um, there's a lot of people who, quote, don't like her. So she's got this whole other thing that just, makes me very concerned about making sure she isn't going off the rails. She's
Yeah.
now
Or
on.
that's just clearing her path of racist people who wants to be friends with racists anyway.
Yes. Yeah. But that's a hard one for her to grapple with. But yes. So I guess I'm
Yeah.
trying to soften the blow for her. And she's had a lot of hard, hard stuff really early. So yeah, but I can see how I'm trying to manage. I'm trying to like manage a lot of things, and that has been a complaint.
Yeah. And it's coming from a loving place. Who doesn't want to protect their kids and keep them happy?
Yeah.
Right. But you're creating a lot of problems on the back end of that nice desire.
Hmm.
And so, what if it's okay? Our kids are meant to struggle, they're meant to be disappointed and feel rejected because that is part of the human experience, regardless of any circumstantial information. We all feel rejected from time to time,
Yeah. Whoa. Okay.
even by our family.
Right.
And I will say that the age of 13 is typically when our kids, statistically speaking, it's when they hate themselves in the world the most and
Mm.
think the worst of themselves. And it's just the ugly age on average for adolescents. It's like you can usually see around 8 or 9 years old, they're kind of on that slippery slope, and then they crash and burn around 13, and then they slowly come out of it.
Mm.
And so you're just in the trenches with her. And
Okay.
it's a really hard place for our 13-year-olds to be in. They don't know what's going on. It's like of the floppy puppy who hasn't grown into his feet yet. They're
Hmm.
just a hot mess when they try to run. That's our 13-year-olds. And when you're like, oh, that is a problem, you shouldn't have to fall down and your feet are too big. And isn't that so tragic? Instead of like, you got this. This isn't a problem. This is adolescence and it's ugly and like funny and weird. And let's just do it because it's not going to last forever.
Yeah. So, what do you do with a kid who's been majorly depressed with super high anxiety, who, after a lot of suffering um, and being suicidal, is now on a medication to try and help with that? And they don't seem to have like a spiritual lean to. I have that. My husband doesn't really, but uh, you know, I just run in. I guess that's not a question you can answer, but I just run into this thing of where she doesn't really feel like she has any agency to draw upon from within herself or from a higher source to get her through those things. And that's the part that
Yeah.
really is concerning for me because I can't force that. I can't force feed her that.
Yeah. You're asking me essentially, how do I get my horse to drink? You can't. You can
Right.
lead them to water. You can
Yeah.
describe the water. You can invite them to drink, but you cannot make her drink. Um, yeah, make sure that she has the best support, right? That she's on the right meds, that she's got therapists and coaches
Yes.
and all the support that she needs.
Yep.
And then don't buy into the poor me story. You don't need to apologize for upsetting her if it was in a healthy way, right? If you yelled at her, apologize. If
Yeah.
you lovingly set a boundary, you can say, I'm sorry that that upset you, but the world is full of boundaries. People have boundaries. People don't like other people in their face traditionally, at least not in Western, like American culture. That's not a thing. People like their space.
Yeah.
And I'm teaching you how to thrive in society by not being in people's personal space. Like
Yeah.
I'm helping you. I don't need to apologize for that. I'm sorry that it's upsetting to you. I'm sorry that it's confusing or doesn't feel nice to you. It's not my intent to make you feel rejected. But I'm not sorry for saying that hurts and please stop.
Yeah.
Your best move is to model emotional intelligence, to stay in tune with her, to ask her questions, to invite, right? However, it is that you connect spiritually, invite her to participate with you, learn emotional coping strategies and teach them at family councils, or around the dinner table. Hey, I learned this great thing today of when I'm feeling really overwhelmed or overstimulated or upset. Would you guys like to hear about it? And you teach them at dinner.
Yep. Doing that too.
Yeah. The
Okay.
the part that you need to drop is I'm not the mom she needs. Something has gone wrong. This is all on me to fix. You're not the martyr. You're not the victim. This is normal life.
Yeah.
You can't make anybody in your household change.
Right.
And you're not supposed to, but you can model for them and they can choose as they want. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I know that I have a good bit of work on myself to do, right? I mean, as we all do, but um, when my focus has been fix this and fix that, and but what about me? So it's good. It's good to
Yeah.
hear.
You can't fix. And even if you did fix one thing, there's like the list breeds overnight.
Right.
And so your focus is more, as weird as this sounds, your focus should be on you and how you can best support and love and allow and respond and let go of how your daughter, how your husband, how they're thinking and feeling, because like it sounds like you're a really great mom and wife and you've tried for a long time and you haven't found the magic the magic pill yet,
Mm-mm.
because it doesn't exist. It's just in the freedom is in letting go.
Thank you for that. I know this is exactly what I need to hear right now.
Yeah, I know a lot of other parents, it's exactly what they need to, because we love so hard that it's hard to watch when we can see what they're doing like poorly.
Or when it reminds me of me, right? When I
Yeah.
was, like, oh no.
Yeah, let me save you a decade or two of struggle. But they don't want to hear that. They have to learn
Absolutely not.
themselves.
Yes. Yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Kat, do you have any other thoughts or questions?
Just thank you for your time. And this is really good. It's good stuff. Thank you for doing it.
Always.